So this is going to be a video roadmap walkthrough guide for Death Kid. Now, this is a game where there's no point of me telling you what to do, try to do one-to-one actions. This is more of a just do this type of game. It is a arcadey action game where you got to survive for 3 minutes through 8 floors and a boss, but all the achievements are really straightforward, and I think if you look at the achievement list, there's a bunch of stuff to beat on multiple difficulties, and I think going by the player count, that's what turned off a lot of people. And this game is only $8, so it shouldn't be that big of a deal. And all the achievements are straightforward. You have to beat the game, get all the upgrades, and beat the game various times. And this should take you around 6 hours or less, depending on your skill level. I would recommend playing on easy just to get a hang of it, know what you're doing, and all that jazz. And you'll need a bunch of XP to get everything anyways. So just stick on easy. And there's only like one thing you gotta remember to do, and it's in the third room where you have to water the plant. I don't think that's missable anyways, but just make sure you do that. That's an achievement too. And around the 3-hour mark is when you'll probably start getting further into the game and probably beating it for the first time. And then once you beat it again, you can turn up the difficulty and do it again. Just keep doing it again. And once you get all the upgrades, you can unlock the new skill, the grind skill, which gives you 10% bonus. And each run, you'll probably most likely get like 2 XP points. So each run does 20% more damage. Now, I will show a whole run through on this, and I'll try to commentate on the tactics to survive on each floor. And you don't have to survive for full three minutes. Later on in the runs, you'll unlock the ability to get this heightened state where if you kill a bunch of enemies, the spirits will become invulnerable and you will get more XP during that state, and the time will go by faster. So eventually you'll see in this video where it's mostly just like a minute long for each floor. So with this first one, it's kind of easy. You can usually just use the projectiles here, and like I'm doing now, those yellow balls, you can throw them into enemies to stun them and lock them in place. I would recommend going for the spin kick first, and then just the base damage skill with your attack. And with the attacking with the X button, you just want to like tap it 3 times, not like button mash, because you'll get stuck in combos, and if you get hit, you won't be able to parry in time. There's no health in here. If you get hit, you have to stay stunned for a bit, or you can parry it and get all of your energy back. And once you're like early on in the game, it does feel like you're not getting enough progress, but eventually you'll be getting that grind skill, and then it'll feel much more rewarding for doing it a lot of times, beating this level. Starting off, you'll probably get stuck on level 2, just because there's a bunch of enemies and they take a lot of damage. Now here, those little black balls, you can throw them at the enemies to gather them up like a black hole. But here, like when you're further into the game, you can just stand in the middle and use this projectile attack. It's not that bad, this level, those first couple levels, and some of the later levels are fine too. And you can use the bigger enemies to attack the smaller enemies so they can get killed. And also, once you get enough rage, you can go into this death state where you get more powerful attacks for a certain amount of time. But it is pretty good. I would recommend using this like sparingly, but you really don't need to use it that much in this beginning of levels. Now this is another one that you might want to you'll get stuck on, just because the shielded enemies can be quite annoying, and sometimes you can't get across from them right away. And if the shielded enemies, you have to attack them from behind or whatever they're getting shielded by, which is fine. The spin kick in here is really good. It does get a little hard to control sometimes if it gets more hectic. And sometimes you can get like stuck on the side of the wall. And if you do that, you might have to like get rid of the run, or if you have the teleport ability, you can get out of it using the teleport. And then here you can use this bigger guy with the laser to bait him to let him use his attack on the smaller enemies. And sometimes it's advantageous to get hit just to parry, so you can get all your energy back instead of having to hold B and wasting a little bit of time. But yeah, once you're like further into the game, like I am, you will barely get the guys into the center, and then draining the health for the little spirit guys, but it's not too bad. These are only a minute long now instead of like 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Here, this one's kind of interesting. You need to use those bats that drop the blood to bait the vampires. But like once you're starting out, when you're not as strong as I am, you have to implement that more. But once you're more powerful, you don't have to worry about that too much. The bigger enemy in here does his ground attack, which can get you caught if you're not paying attention. Which it's fine once you're powerful enough and you're not standing still all the time. But here you can just gotta kill a bunch of dudes each time. It does get a little draining towards the end when you gotta do it like multiple times, but here, and then eventually you can get an upgrade on once you clear the 4th floor. You'll most likely get an XP. You'll most likely get like 2 XP towards the 2 or 3 towards the end of a run, which is pretty good. And there's an achievement for 500,000 damage, which is easy. You'll get that in no time, probably like 4 or 5 hours in. Okay, here, this one probably gets stuck on here again. And this one, there is some bombs that you can use to throw at other enemies and get them. But sometimes if you're too close, you'll hit yourself and you'll have to parry it. And also, Like, I'm not barely using like the other projectile attacks that I have, but I found those to be kind of useless and not worth using. I just use the spin kick and the fire projectiles in all directions, and then I just use the death state when I have to. And when you're doing the upgrades in early game, it'll like cycle through a bunch of them. So I would just start with the spin kick, start with the base damage, and just keep going until you get them all, and then work on something else. But almost done with this game, and you can see towards the end of the game, you'll be doing it in like 1 minute or around 1 minute, maybe 1 minute 20 seconds. And here is a really annoying level, and you'll probably get sick on this a couple times because those little flaming flames, I guess, if they explode near a normal enemy, they'll get a power boost and take more health away, which isn't too bad once you know you can get more damage done, but it all depends on how much damage you have, and it does feel like sometimes the game wants you to lose. They won't give you enough like time to recover your energy and all that. But this is probably one of the harder levels in this run here. But as you can see, we did it in a minute 5, so this is another easy level if you have your upgraded skills. Just because the enemies are slow moving, there's no real projectiles that are kind of annoying. They just freeze you, which isn't a big deal, and you can kill a bunch of enemies super quickly. Yeah, there's really not much else to say with this game because it's all straightforward. I do not know why the player count is so low, even though it just came out, but I do think the difficulty achievements are like a deterrent, but it's pretty easy. It just takes 6 hours. Yeah, play through it. You do have to play through it 5 times, but it's not too bad if it's only takes 6 hours. And it does feel like it takes forever, even though it's like a couple minutes. I think it's just because it's so slow with the going down into the menu, doing the animations and all that stuff. But here is the 8th floor, which is another one that's pretty easy. This one does have like a bigger hazard, just because it'll turn the screen black, and you won't be able to see if you get caught in the smoke or you get caught getting hit with the bigger enemy. But you can just stand in here, do your projectiles. And do your spin kick if you want. You just gotta wait the minute long and get the XP. You just don't want to stand in the smoke here. But after this level, there's the boss, which if you don't want to be spoiled, you can skip it, but it's kind of predictable what happens, but alright, we're at the boss now, and once we defeat this, we get to beat the game and we win. And then we can do it all over again until we get all of the difficulty achievements. And to turn up the difficulties besides easy and normal that are in the menus, you have to go into the third room, interact with the statue, and then start a run. And then keep doing that until you get the medal and get all your achievements. So here you want to be utilizing your spin kick attack at all times pretty much. And here it is probably a good idea once they do their projectile barrage with those red balls to get hit once if you're out of energy, and then try to parry it to get your stamina back so you don't have to stand still and charge up to get energy. And once you parry, you can do damage to enemies, so you can kill them. And here you only get one health bar, but it is pretty easy to do, I think, even though it feels like I kind of like screwed up here because they're getting the shield down, but I still like made it over halfway just with the shield on. And then you can get into the death state and do even more damage quickly to get that shield back up. Like all those flies are pretty much dead right there, and I get hit, and then you can just keep doing that and then you'll win. So hope this video has helped explain the game, show you how it's not super difficult. All the achievements you'll get, no problem. And hope this video helped you. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.